Hey, and welcome back to another vlog episode. Today we will be working on all of these bigger tanks. There's a 45S, a 45U, a 45T. This is a very new tank. It's a 45U but taller. And then a 45E Paludarium setup. A nice shallow 75S and a 120P, our biggest tank. I already have the 45S kind of scaped, but now I have to glue it down and everything, so stay tuned for this episode. I'll show you guys how we glue down and secure hardscape for transport. This hardscape's not going to go anywhere. Right now there's 3 pieces of bigger showpiece spiderwood and just 2 rocks holding it all together in place. Once I glue it down together, I can lift this whole scape out and then secure it into the tank. All right, so stick around. I just finished the first scape and it's in the 45S. Let me show you guys here what we're doing. So what we're doing is vacuuming the bottom of the tank to make sure it's clean. And then what we're going to do is we're going to silicone a tank mat right in the middle, and I'll explain further after we finish. So this is a 5N tank mat. It's smaller than a 45U, which is perfect because then I could just place the mat down. And the reason why I'm doing this is because these tanks are going to be transported a few thousand miles away from Los Angeles, and we don't want any of the smallest vibrations from the hardscape to crack the bottom of the tank. When the tank is cracked on the bottom, you can't really tell if it's filled with hardscape and substrate. You'll be dealing with leaks all over. The tank mat will prevent that. I hate doing this, but I'm going to glue this tank mat down so it doesn't shift during shipping. We can also glue the hardscape to the tank mat, so it's semi-permanent, I would say, but the scape is going to look great, so I'm not too worried about that. Now with the tank mat in, I can be a little bit more confident when it comes to shipping this glass tank. As you can see, I left a perimeter of glass around the tank mat just so that it doesn't get pushed up to the front and you can see it when you're viewing it from the front view or the side view. And then this will all be covered by some sort of substrate, so you'll never even know a tank mat is there. We're on to the most difficult tank of all of these tanks. I'm going to do this one using UNS Strata Type 1. I'm just kidding. This is going to be the easiest tank. All I'm going to do is pour some substrate in and we're going to ship it as is. Boom! And then substrate, soil in the back, and we're good. 2 tanks down. How fun is that? Since we're on a gluing frenzy, there's one more thing I can do. This is basically pond foam. It's what they use in ponds, and it's totally safe for aquariums. I'm gonna use this as extra glue to fill all the gaps so that the soil doesn't spill over when shipping. I'm also gonna use this to glue some of the hardscape together. This foam expands, so you kind of wanna not use too much. And the cool thing is it has this little straw attachment that you can get into really hard to reach areas. It's pretty messy, so you kind of have to watch where you're spraying. And once it dries off, you can actually use a X-Acto knife or something to trim off all the excess foam. It's great. I've been doing all these scapes alone. We have only, let's see, less than a week to finish all of these tanks. So I'm gonna need to find help somewhere. I don't know who can help me, but I will try to figure all this out myself. The empty tanks are the Paludarium and the, oh, hey!
Yo, what's up, man?
So it looks like I'm getting help today. Hip is here, and we're gonna finish up all these scapes, at least the hardscape. And then tomorrow what we'll do is we'll plan what plants we want to use for each and every tank. We'll come up with a plant list, and then we'll go from there. Before we get started, I have a really important question for you.
Uh-oh. It wasn't me.
No. What's the difference between a fish and a guitar?
I don't know. What's the difference?
You can't tune a fish.
Oh. Right now I'm looking for a hardscape for a tall tank. It's one of our newest sizes. Trying to figure out like, okay, how can I use all of this height, right? I was initially looking for some wood that was kind of tall, but then I walked across this pile of lava stone here. This really big one is really stood out to me. I thought it looked really cool because it's tall, but it's also flat, you see? So I can put this like right up against the back of the tank is what I'm thinking. And then having a bunch of really fine roots coming down the sides of it, I think it's gonna make a really cool scape. So this is my initial idea. It takes up a good amount of space already, and it's really tall. So I'll maybe find another slightly smaller one or slightly shorter one, but I'm also still looking for flatness so that I can have all this space in front of it. There's also smaller ones here, so I can have like a really nice gradient from large all the way down to small, and that makes for really good details. To make it very natural and realistic looking. I found my second piece. They almost fit together like puzzle pieces, and I love when I find hardscape that does that. But when you have things like this that kind of match each other, it makes for a really cool look, and it just looks really nice and natural too. And the other thing I actually really like about this is it doesn't have a whole lot of texture. You know, by itself it's kind of boring, but when you have contrast like this, you know, smooth or less interesting to very textured, the eye will naturally flow from one place to another. I think that once we get everything together, that's gonna make more sense, hopefully. As far as rock goes, I think we've pretty much got it. Maybe a couple of smaller pieces, mid-sized pieces to really bring it all together. But this plus some like spiderwood roots or something, it's gonna be super awesome.
Another helpful tip is I'm using unused or used filter media foam. It's a foam pad that I ripped up into little blocks. And what I can do is use this to stop substrate from rolling down into like a sandy foreground. Right here, we're gonna have sand. in the foreground. So I don't want the soil in the back to roll on over. I'm gonna actually stuff the gaps with this filter foam. So this is what I'm doing. And the cool thing is you can build this up pretty high. And then you can stuff it and it will fill pretty nicely. Soil will just be right about here and the sand will be very low. And I'm doing it to both sides. It's pretty chaotic right now. We're taking a break, but before we continue on, we're gonna announce the 3 UNS swag giveaway winners from the last video.
First up, we got Darren DeRouse. His comment says, "Great job. All the scapes look so unique, which is no small feat doing 40. Those racks look so cool the way it's lit. Can't wait to see them planted. Keep up the great content." So Darren, you are our first winner. I'm gonna scroll to another random one. Francis Bond, these tanks are dope. I agree. And third winner, Ethan Ray. Someone get John some gloves that fit. Great video as always, gang. You've seen him struggle with gloves like in 2 or 3 different videos now.
I hate the large gloves.
I don't even use.
My hands lose and gain weight all the time. Congrats, thanks for leaving a comment. Thanks for watching our videos. We really appreciate your guys' support. So for the 3 winners, make sure to send us a message on YouTube with all your info and we'll get your packages out to you right away. For those of you who want to enter, we're also continuing it in this video. All you have to do is leave a comment. Good luck.
Yeah, we'll pick some more winners.
The cool thing about the foam, the spray foam that I was using, is that it literally is foam once it dries, and you can actually cut it down to shape so that it doesn't look so bulbous. Or you can rip it off with your hands like I am in certain areas. Let me show you guys after I get this piece off. So it's like foam, basically. It's not like foam, it is foam. And these are just excess pieces that I can throw away. I've already finished 3 tanks. Not quite sure what Hip is doing right here, but I'm gonna start this big one right here. We have no time to waste. Oh my God. Okay, this is like what, 20 pounds of sand? Oh my God. Okay, substrate done. Now I'm moving on to the Paludarium. This is gonna be my live demo setup. All I'm gonna do is put together the hardscape and then see if all the hardware goes in correctly. What I'm doing here is I'm almost replicating a 60U that I did last year, which was building 2 terraces, 2 mounds on each side. I believe I used dragonstone and black forest spiderwood. In this case, I'm going to use petrified woodstone to build the little rock mounds, and then I'm going to put twigs of black forest spiderwood running down into the substrate. I think I'm going to call this scape Terrence.
Okay, so a lot has happened since the last time we talked out in the hardscape area. When I first put this rock in, that second one didn't really fit in the tank the way that I wanted it to. And so I just kind of started putting rocks in there. But then all of a sudden when I put this main one in, I noticed a silhouette that looked very familiar. And so It's like a side profile view. This was one of my childhood heroes. It's Sun Wukong from Journey to the West. It's the Monkey King. And when I looked at it, it looked exactly like him. You could even see there's like an eyeball and eyebrow ridge area here. And then the side silhouette looks exactly like his face. So I took inspiration from that and I started going crazy with it. And I kind of got in the zone, so there wasn't many updates in between. But I also took a little bit of inspiration from Harry Razio, how he has a lot of the wood waving going in one direction. I kind of did that too. But so far I think it looks really cool. I think it's one of those scapes where like, if you know the character and somebody mentions it, you're definitely gonna see it. But even if you don't, I still think it's like a pretty good nature scape anyways, or a pretty good, cool looking aquascape regardless. So I'm actually pretty excited about this. I'm gonna work on it a little bit more, add a couple pieces here and there, but this is really cool. I even have the two pheasant feathers coming from his crown. There's gonna be one, I'm thinking a spiderwood piece right here for his crown. He has a crown with like a spiral, two spirals in the middle, and the golden color of the spiderwood would be perfect for that. I know that piece exists somewhere out there in the yard, so I'm gonna find it for sure.
Hey Hip,
Yeah.
what type of music do fish listen to?
What?
Something catchy!
All right, so I'm putting the last finishing touches for now. I'm just going back, like John did in his other scapes. I'm going back to where I used the white tissue and the super glue, and I'm just gonna sprinkle some soil over the white areas and then soak it with the glue. Should harden and cover up that white.
So Hip left for the day. I was gonna tell another joke, but unfortunately he's not here to hear my joke, so we'll save it for tomorrow. Day one for all of these bigger tanks is pretty much a wrap. We have this Spiderwood 45S shallow tank here. It just needs a little bit of soil in the back and we're good. And then we have this UNS Strata Type 1 45U. And this is pretty much done. We just have to add soil during the show. This is my current favorite right here, this UNS 75S shallow. The soil is already added to the back. We have sand. We just need to clean up a little bit of spillage, and this one should be good to go. Everything's rock solid. It's not going anywhere. And then I'm gonna have to let Hip explain this one because I have no idea what's going on and I don't want to mess with it. And for the bigger tank, the 120p, oh, I forgot, that is a 45T tall tank. That's the newest UNS tank in terms of the 45 line. And this big 120p, we have an idea of what we're gonna do with the Hardscape, but we're just now waiting for the silicone to dry on the tank mats that we're using as extra padding for transport. This is going to be a pretty quick scape, and tomorrow I will wrap up this 45E Paludarium. I'm just waiting for the foam to dry a little bit right now so that I can keep going taller and taller on the two plateaus that I'm creating. Again, leave a comment below to enter our giveaway. It's free for you, and why not enter?
All right, everybody, welcome back. So it's the end of day 2. Had a lot of fun in the last couple of days. Me and John scaped all of these larger tanks together. Actually, well, he did most of the work like the rest of the tanks, but
he only showed up last minute to do a tank and a half, but it's okay.
I need to take it out. So me and John actually tag teamed this 120 together, and I'm super happy with how it turned out. I think it looks really good, and it's gonna look even better once we plant and fill it with water at the show. So super excited to see what that's gonna look like. You guys are gonna get to see it with us, so stay tuned, and next time we see you, we'll be at the show.
Before I let you go though, I have a question for you.
Oh no. I can't take another one, man.
Why are fish so easy to weigh?
Why are fish so easy to weigh? All right, go ahead and give it to me, man.
Because they come with their own scales!
Oh. Help me.